introduce Brad Pastucha, Visual Pre-Sale Supervisor for PTC, who is your presenter today, and Dustin Mayfield, who is an Application Engineering Manager for Tech30. He will be filling in for Hamid. And I will now hand the reins over to Dustin, who will give a brief overview of Tech30.
All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started, I want to briefly introduce Tech30. And if you don't mind progressing the slide there, Brad.
Sure.
I want to briefly introduce Tech30 and to everyone that might be new on the webinar, who don't know who we are before. I want to talk about who we are, how we can help in your engineering process, and what we really do for you guys. So our mission is to help our customers solve engineering challenges by providing them with engineering software, connecting them to the right tools, providing them training, professional services, and of course, engineering support and software support. So if we look at our portfolio, we have a very, very large and kind of diverse portfolio, but we have over 40 engineers on staff that support the products and software and services that we perform. On the software end, we are a PTC Platinum VAR, which is the highest rated VAR you can be. We sell Creo, Windchill, MathCAD, and ArborText, and we support all 4 of those. On the hardware end, we are a premium supplier of 3D printers, and we're really excited that a lot of customers have been really interested in adopting 3D printers and finding new ways and intelligent ways to produce production-ready parts. We're a manufacturer or we're a supporter of HP printers and Markforged printers, which are some really high-end 3D printers. On the services end, which makes up the majority of our revenue, we specialize in PLM deployments, specifically Windchill and Team Center. We also do various training and other engineering services such as analysis, design, drawing markup, and even fabrication. So if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me or speak to me after the webinar, and I'll be glad to go in more detail. I'll go ahead and kick it off to Brad and to start off the demo.
All right, thank you, Dustin, very much appreciated. So I wanted to formally introduce myself. My name is Brad Pastucha, Virtual Pre-Sales Supervisor here within PTC. I'm part of the Virtual Center of Excellence. And what I'm going to be talking to you today is about the SolidWorks Workgroup Manager. So let's go and go through some quick slides, and then we'll hop into the software so we can take a look and understand what that can do for your business. So looking at some of the industry challenges today, there's multiple CAD applications within the enterprise. A lot of times you have larger companies that are acquiring companies that are smaller, but they're also using multiple CAD applications. These include Creo, these include such things as SolidWorks, NX, CATIA, you name it. And so it becomes a bit difficult to manage everything in one enterprise. And so you need to be able to standardize on one platform and be able to make all of your product development processes apparent to all of those users within that system. Oftentimes there's overwriting of designs if you're using file folders or you're using such things as SharePoint or other applications that might be homegrown. It becomes difficult to scale those, first of all, and then second of all, you have the engineers or the designers overwriting their designs, not even on purpose. It's more so just because of poor practices or poor technology to back that up. And then with that comes limited version control. So in terms of understanding the traceability or the ability to go back to a previous version or previous iteration, it's not really locked up there. You might have to do some renaming of things or have a specific naming convention to have different versions. But even then, that requires a lot of that's pretty intensive on your hard drive in terms of the sub file sizes and things like that. So it becomes a bit of a pain to do. But if we look at the solution to all of those, which is going to be your Windchill Workgroup Manager, so it's going to allow you to manage all of your SolidWorks data, whether it's your family tables or just your regular assemblies and part files right within Windchill. It allows you to do so, and also it makes it apparent to other users that might be downstream of those engineers. So looking at the capabilities here, is it provides embedded data management tools. So there is a ribbon that is embedded right within SolidWorks user interface. What that allows you to do is provides all of the essential data management actions that you can that you might need to perform right within the tool. So it provides familiarity and it makes it so that the users that are working within SolidWorks day in and day out, they're not really having to, there's not really a steep learning curve to be able to manage your information within Windchill. Okay, and then the seamless integration with SolidWorks, that just means that we have the ability, the capability to manage really whatever you're doing within SolidWorks within Windchill, and it's very seamless. There's a client, which is the Workgroup Manager, that runs alongside of the SolidWorks CAD application, and what that allows you to do is be able to use them side by side to be able to manage your data very quickly, and you're made aware of everything that's going on. And then lastly here for the capabilities is the enterprise level visualization. Now this is a big one because you want to be able to share your designs or how everything's going within the product development process with not just the engineers. So they are important obviously, but there's also many other organizations that need to access this type of information within a data management system such as Windchill. So lastly, let's take a look at the value before we hop into the demonstration. So with Windchill's Workgroup Manager for SolidWorks, it allows you to standardize on one PLM platform, even if you're not using Creo Parametric today. And the ability to have multiple CAD systems or multiple CAD files managed within Windchill is a great asset and allows you to work with those mergers and acquisitions very seamlessly, even though you might be on different tools. Reduces the scrap and rework, so you have that traceability, you have the overriding control in terms of the status, letting everybody know that you're working on this item, do not make any modifications to it, as well as the when you are going in to save something off, you're not overwriting anything. It's becoming the next piece of information that's being housed within Windchill. Then lastly, because of the reduced scrap and rework, you're not going back and having to spend the time and resources on that. You can really accelerate the time to market for all of your products so that you can differentiate yourselves from the market and sell more product. Okay, so that's really it here for the slides, PowerPoint slides for the SolidWorks Workgroup Manager. So now what I'd like to do is I would like to go ahead and dive right into the demonstration of the software. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here is our Windchill Workgroup Manager. So the ability to access Windchill via a web browser. You'll see that we have the web address in the upper ribbon there, and we're signed in under James. You'll see under next to the PTC Windchill logo. And what this is you're basically looking at your home screen. So you have the ability to pull up tables so that would have relevant information so that you can perform your day-to-day activities very quickly and access that information. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and take a look at the information within the Workgroup Manager itself. So if we go to the browse under the navigator, what that'll allow you to do is browse any of the products or really the context that we have within Windchill. And those contexts are going to allow you to contain relevant information to, say, a specific product, a specific library of components, or some other sort of context that can be housed within Windchill. So for today, we're going to take a look at the context of the products. So we have our product with our design data, and we're specifically going to work with our SolidWorks data. So let's go ahead and open that folder up. In this folder contents is where all of the SolidWorks data is going to reside. So you can quickly get to it, and it's much like that of the Windows Explorer that you're used to on your computer. So we go back to the browse, and if we go to the details of the product, we could see that we have some end items that are allowing us to take a look at the information within Windchill. So we have the steering column foot. You'll see that it is a SolidWorks model. And what we're looking at here, if you look at the gray gears within Windchill, they are known as WT parts. So upon creation of upon check-in of the CAD models, you can choose to create WT parts right from the CAD model, and that allows you to manage the bill of materials separately from the CAD assembly or the CAD structure. Okay, so if we come over here to the attributes, or really the visualization, we could pull up the steering column foot. We see that it pulls right into the visualization here. So we can spin it, we can zoom in, zoom out, rotate it, whatever we need to do to visually interrogate the model that is at hand. And what this allows you to do is this allows you to open this up more to the enterprise, not so much just the engineering organization. So you see that you do not need any client of SolidWorks to view this information. It is really a lightweight viewable of that. And you'll see that with these gray gears, we have the pretty much the associated CAD assembly is one-to-one with the associated part structure, or the part assembly here. So what we can do is we can quickly drill down into this information, and we can see that we can look at the footplate itself. So if we went from the top level to one of the child components, right from the structure tab there. So we have our footplate. We can take a look at the attributes here, so a lot of the attribute information, and then we can quickly get into the viewing of this information within Creo View there. Okay, so what we're looking at is the footplate right within Creo View. Now this is our lightweight viewing and representation tool. So upon check-in, a viewable will be created via Windchill and the Workgroup Manager. That viewable, no matter whether it's coming from Creo Parametric or SolidWorks or whatever it might be, it will create this viewable upon check-in. It's lightweight, it's less than 5% of the actual size of the CAD model, but it is all accurate geometry to the representative CAD model. So what we want to do here is we want to take a look and perform some marking up. So some redlining can be done right from this interface. So what we want to do is we want to point out this section, this little pad here, and we want to make note that we want to change that. That's something that is not quite right that I've taken a look at. We need to change the pad size within the authoring tool. So as you select on OK, we have that information now residing. And what we can do is we can save this right into Windchill directly from Creo View here. So the design updates, we can go ahead and save that off. And now that has saved within Windchill for any user that has access to this specific footplate to be able to see that information. But before we go in and change anything, let's take a look at the where used. So we have the ability to open up and view a where used report. So we know that the footplate is a part of the steering column foot, and we can see that right from this report here. So it just for change impact or impact analysis, understanding what products you might be affecting if you were to modify this specific component. So now if we switch over here to our SolidWorks client, we are no longer looking at the Workgroup Manager, we're looking at the SolidWorks CAD authoring tool. So what you'll notice is if we go to the open feature, you'll notice that we have two options here, known as the common space and the workspace. This is coming, the open is allowing you to choose directly from Windchill. And these two spaces, the common space and workspace, are residing on the Windchill server. The common space is where you're going to store everything for all of your end users to see if they have access to it. And the workspace is going to be specifically for the end user. So the way that I'd like to make an analogy here is that the workspace is more so going to be your cube or your desk that has all of your information or all of your gadgets, whatever you might need to do on a day-to-day basis right in front of you. So you pull that together, it's easily accessible within an arm's reach, whereas the common space is going to be more of a local file folder where, or a local filing cabinet where you have to go in and anybody has access to it. They can reach in, grab the stuff that they need, pull it down to their workspace or take it over to their cube and then work with it from there. So we're going to go to the common space, and we're going to pull up the context that we we're taking a look at earlier. So we have the products and the libraries. We're going to focus with the products today and take a look at the design data, which has the SolidWorks data in there as well. So just a different way to access those folders, but it is very intuitive when you're using it in a Windows Explorer type of environment. So you don't really have to get too involved with the Windchill UI when you're working within SolidWorks. You could do it the way that you're used to. All right, so now let's go in and take a look at the footplate that we were already browsing throughout within Windchill. And let's go ahead and download that directly from the server of Windchill right into our session here of SolidWorks. So you'll notice that we have PTC Windchill tab and all of the necessary data management actions in the upper ribbon. So it's just one extra tab that you have, and it's easily easily adjusted to. There's really not much of a learning curve to be able to manage your data directly within the SolidWorks tool. So let's go in and choose Checkout. What this is going to do is this is pretty much going to lock it on the server so that you'll see that this information is checked out by a specific user. In this case, it is James. So if you're logged in as somebody else, you'll see that James now has this information checked out, and you cannot go in and check it out at the same time. Only one person has modification rights using the checkout option, and that allows the overwriting to really be mitigated and even fully prevented. So what we're looking at here on the bottom right-hand side is the event management console, and that's just coming directly from, pretty much streaming directly from the Workgroup Manager, so you don't have to leave the screen, but you can see all of the events that are happening, such as whether the checkout was succeeded, was it added to the workspace, things like that. Okay, so now that we know that the checkout has succeeded, what we can do is we can go in to make our modifications to the design. So we have our sketch. Let's go in and edit that. And what you'll see is that we have the existing parameters. We can go in and change those parameters to change the size or the parameters that are driving that. So what we see here that the changes have been made. And what we can do is we can go back and understand that what we can do is we can maybe want to, the changes have been made. The appearances can now be changed to here as well. So we see that just to make a much more obvious change, we can say, okay, we've changed the pad there, but we've also changed the color. So this is more so to demonstrate that the information is being added directly to the Windchill server upon check-in immediately. So next, let's go into our properties. And we'll say that we want to change the value for the description. And what this allows you to do is, the beauty of this is if we're changing the description within the summary of information for the parameters or the attribute information within SolidWorks, this is able to be mapped directly to Windchill so that you only have to enter it in once. So you enter it in within SolidWorks, and then that information is then pulled up into Windchill, and that allows any user that is searching for this information to search for something that is within one of those mapped attributes, such as steering column assembly or footplate, whatever it might be within that text expression, and it allows them to pull this information up very quickly. Okay, so now that we've added that in, we want to perform a save as. And the reason we're doing this is because today's environment, it's very heterogeneous in terms of working with suppliers or whatever it might be, and we want that to really be able to all be managed within Windchill. So what we're doing is we're saving a copy of the footplate as an IGES file, and we're going to also manage that within Windchill. We're going to basically attach that to the footplate. All right, so now we're back within the Workgroup Manager. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in and go to our workspace and understand that there is the footplate that we have made modifications to. All right, so what we see is the checked out. The footplate is currently checked out with that yellow post-it with the blue arrow, and we have the CAD part here. So what we're going to do is we're going to, while it's still checked out, we're going to edit the attachments and add in that IGES file. So that IGES file is actually not going to be version or iteration controlled because it is more secondary content. And so that was going to reside with this specific iteration of the footplate. So what you can do is, if you know that you're going to make more modifications to the footplate, then you can go in and say, I'm going to create another IGES based off of that new iteration or that modification of the design. All right, so moving back into SolidWorks, what we're going to do is we're going to perform a custom check-in. And we have our footplate. So let's go ahead and finish that up. Check-in started. You see all that within the event management console. You're made aware of anything that's going on currently within Windchill. And what you could see is we have the check-in has now succeeded. Let's go ahead and go back to our home screen where we can see all of our updates. So now that our footplate has been checked in, we see that we have a 1.5 version instead of 1.4. And we see that the footplate is now blue in the visualization there. If we go to our content, we see our IGES file has been uploaded as an export, so you can quickly download that directly from Windchill if you saw fit. Okay, so also within the screen, you'll see under the description there, under the object-specific attributes, the description says footplate for steering column assembly, and that has automatically been mapped into Windchill based off of the check-in of the footplate. All right, so now if we go to use our search function within Windchill, we're going to search for steer, and it's going to pull up some more information. We see that we have 374 objects. We want to focus here on this drawing, so that's what we want. We'll go ahead and select on that and go into the details for the drawing here. So what you'll see is we have the ability to open this within SolidWorks right from the Workgroup Manager as well. So there's two ways to go about opening this up. It's really based off of the user's preference, but we wanted to highlight that there are multiple ways to open this up within or download this directly to SolidWorks so you can make modifications to it. So we have our event management letting us know that we have now added this to SolidWorks, and we see that it has opened up. What we could do here is right within this drawing, we now have our drawing for the assembly. We want to insert a column to the right, and what this allows you to do is, since this is hooked up to our Workgroup Manager, it's connected, we can now bring our Windchill attribute information coming directly from this assembly and add it right into the drawing column here. So just like that, we now have all of the life cycle states of each of those components that makes up this assembly. Okay, but now what we want to do is we want to go in and see, okay, we're going to open this up right from our workspace. We see that we have that as our directory. So right from our workspace, let's go in and open up the full assembly as a separate file here. Okay, so now we have our full assembly opened up, and what we'd like to do is we would like to go in and make the modifications to the assembly and really add in a new component. So this is going to demonstrate the idea of references within Windchill, and that we can manage those references as well directly within the Windchill server, Windchill system. What we're going to do is we're going to extrude basically a rod from one side of the assembly to the next, and have those both be references that are going to be associated to this newly designed rod or extrude. Okay, so now that we're going through with our extrude, we see that we have created the rod that is in association to those two parts, those two side plates. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look in our assembly tree, our model tree, and see that we have our new part here located. So what we're going to do is we're going to open that part up in a separate instance of SolidWorks. And what we wanted to do is we want to go in and change some of those parameters so that it can be mapped right within Windchill. So we'll call that the material. and we'll put in the value to be determined as of right now. That can be changed later on down the road. And what we could do is we're going to save this to our workspace. So this is a new component that is now going to be saved to our workspace. And we see the event management console on the bottom left-hand corner there, showing all of us that information. Okay, so now if we go back to our drawing, we're going to perform a custom check-in. And what that allows you to do is upon check-in, it'll allow you to create those WT parts as we mentioned. So you'll notice that we have the new part, it's new locally, that is a dependent, the collection rule there is a dependent of the assembly. And we have our drawing, it is the initially selected, and then we have our assembly there as well. And if we select on next with the custom check-in, we can auto-associate these parts to CAD documents. So that newly designed part in association to the assembly did not have a WT part, or doesn't have a WT part associated to it currently. But if we select on the auto-associate parts to CAD documents, Windchill will go in and create a new part for that specific CAD document, and it will interlock them or associate them together so that you have that traceability and the ability to have that quick link back and forth. So now we can finish up that process of the check-in, the custom check-in there. Okay, so we see the check-in has now succeeded, and once again we can go back to the home screen. We can see all of the updates there for the table and the steering column that we've just worked with. So taking a look at the assembly, you'll notice that upon check-in, the viewable has changed. We see the blue foot plate there, but then we also see that we have that interconnecting rod that we just added in as well. So that all updates upon check-in very quickly. So all the downstream users can see that information and consume it to understand where the product development process lies. So again, with the visualization in the structure tab, we see that rod has now been added there, and we have the foot plate or the new part there as well. And if we dig into that part itself, we see that the material 2 is listed as to be determined. That's what we've already added in there. And so what we could do is take a look at the visualization there as well and go to the related objects to see those references that were created. So we have the where used report as well as the references down below for the side plate in the steering column foot as those design references. Navigating back to the assembly, we want to go in and perform a new promotion request. So now that this has been completed, we've added in all of the components that we need for this steering column foot. We want to go in with a promotion request, and what a promotion request within Windchill, what that allows you to do is change, since Windchill is a PLM system, not just a PDM system, it allows you to change the state in which the steering column foot is displayed. And this can be really tied to specific roles, and Windchill is access based in that right, so that if this changes states, then it will change pretty much the end users that can view this information or work with this information as well. So we went into the collector and collected all of the dependents of this assembly very quickly. That is what the collector is there for. It allows you to collect information without having to sift through the Windchill system. It's all presented to you up front. So selecting on everything there, we want to change that promotion state to released from the in-work side of things. And we'll go ahead and select who we want to participate in this promotion request. So we have James, the design engineer, as well as Pat, the product manager, as the reviewer and approvers. So we'll finish that up. So now that we have confirmation of that created workflow, we can go back to the home page, and within Windchill we have the out-of-the-box workflows. So the promotion request is going to come directly back to James. The reason we do that is for demonstration purposes, so that we can showcase what a a promotion request task looks like. So you've been tasked to approve this promotion request. We have the promotion objects right there in easy reach. We have the special instructions as well as the process status lined up for us here. And if we've taken a look at everything, we can go in and say we want to approve this, reject it, or rework. We'll say that this has been approved. And we'll go in and complete that task so that it will move to the different state. So it's going to go from the in work to the released state. So if we take a look at the steering column foot, we see that it is now in the released state there instead of the in work. So that could potentially entail that the engineers are no longer having access to it. It's more so down with the manufacturing side of things. If we come over here to the drawing, what we could do here is we could perform a save as for this drawing. So we can reuse our existing information within the Windchill system. And what this will also allow you to do, this will allow you to change the name of the new files. So the new files are going to be created from this. But what it allows you to do, it allows you to keep all of those associations that you already have in place within Windchill. So all of those dependencies or all of those related objects, those other pieces of information, all of that's going to be included or pretty much preserved or kept the same upon creation of the new the new file names. Okay, so now that we've changed the file name to an SA at the end for a save as, we'll go ahead and select OK. And Windchill will go in and create those new parts based off of what was already within the system. So if we go back to the home screen, back to the updates table, you will see that we have all of our save as's here. So we have A.1 versions for each of these. And if we take a look at the drawing itself, then you see that you have the _SA A.1 version right here within the Windchill Workgroup Manager. And you see that we have the where used within the steering column drawing there, the parts, as well as the references still preserved for this _SA part name. And just to showcase real quick once again that within SolidWorks we have the _SA within the ribbon there, and you don't have to go into SolidWorks to rename or perform a save as every time. It can all be done directly from the Windchill user interface. Okay, so now let's go in and perform the search function once more. And what this is going to do, this is pretty much the last aspect here of the demonstration, is the idea behind family tables. So we want to showcase that there is the capability to manage family tables directly within Windchill. So you can create a new custom tab and add in family tree right to that tab. So we see that we have this bolt as the generic, and then we have multiple, multiple instances of that generic. So what we want to do ultimately is to show that how quick and easy it is to go into the Workgroup Manager, pull up the generic, understand that there is a generic, and then also bring that down into SolidWorks, create a new instance, and then save that back off into Windchill. So we'll show what that looks like here and how that would work. So what we're doing now is we're going to check these out, all of these instances, into our workspace so that we can work with them effectively and efficiently. And we're going to open that up directly within the authoring application. You have that capability here within the Workgroup Manager. Okay, so now that the checkout has succeeded, we're going to switch on here over into SolidWorks where the bolt is already opened up. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new configuration here. Okay, so let's add a configuration here, and the name is just going to be very simple. It's going to be the type of configuration that we're going to be implementing. Okay, so now that has been selected, what we could do is go in and make modifications to the bolt itself to match those specific configurations that we're looking at. So we'll change the diameter to 0.312, and we'll change the length to 1.0. So now that we've accomplished that, it's exactly what we wanted to do. We can go in and let this, so that we can have this text expression within Windchill. Go ahead and select that and set that up. And now we can perform our custom check-in. So we see that we have all of the instances of the bolts, and we have the new configuration of the one there that we've just added in. We'll go ahead and finish that up. And now those will check in. So the check-in process is now completed. See that those icons have gone away. And we have our top configuration of the bolt, and we have our 0.312 now added in here with a new version. So Windchill is capable of managing all of those configurations that you might need, so that you know, whatever you pretty much whatever data management needs you have, Windchill is going to be your source to be able to manage that effectively and efficiently. So that wraps up what I had here in mind for the demonstration today on the SolidWorks Workgroup Manager. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back off to Dustin to wrap things up, and then we'll go from there. So thank you for your cooperation, and I'll go ahead and pass it over.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brad. Great presentation today. And to everyone, we will be getting this posting up on our YouTube channel later. So if you're interested in referring back to any information, you can go ahead and check it out and find out all of our other recorded webinars. And thank you again, everyone, for attending. Have a great day.